Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Becerra, for appearing before the committee. Instead of setting our nation on a path for fiscal stability, I have a concern that this wasteful $6 trillion budget, which is the largest in our nation's history, would set us on a course for higher spending, more taxes, and runaway debt. It increases non-defense spending by 16% and puts the annual deficit at an average of $1.3 trillion per year for the next decade, doubling the national debt over the next 10 years. Results the debt owed by each American raising by 50% to around $120,000. I used to say that our children and grandchildren will be paying for our current lifestyle, but unfortunately, it's now going to be our great-grandchildren that will bear the brunt of Washington's out-of-control spending. Instead of attempting to find common ground that both parties can agree on, the budget really is about raising taxes on every American in order to pay for some of these Democrat, partisan, socialist policies. With all that massive spending in the budget, it's easy to overlook what the $6 trillion in spending doesn't address, basically safeguarding Medicare for seniors. We know that we're just 5 years away from Medicare insolvency, a frightening statistic by itself, but even more so after a global pandemic. And the trustees' report for 2021 is significantly delayed. With so many unknowns regarding the true cost of COVID-19, it's very possible that insolvency accelerated significantly. Instead of protecting our current promise to seniors and fixing the insolvency issue, this budget fundamentally changes Medicare. It allows those 60 to 65 to start increasing Medicare spending and proposes adding significant new benefits such as vision and dental without any substantive and tangible changes to ensure the delivery of current services. As we struggle to overcome and recover from the global pandemic, it's more important than ever to help our families and small businesses recover and ensure that reckless spending in Washington doesn't jeopardize the promises we've made to seniors. Secretary Becerra, the fiscal 2022 HHS budget would increase funding for NIH programs by 21%. It's been mentioned before that there wasn't any money going to grants for any of the gain of function spending in the next budget, but we're kind of concerned about the transparency and mischaracterizations of how some of the prior funding was directed towards the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And we know they were involved in the gain of function research, which fundamentally changes what a virus can do. What we're hearing and understanding is that there was a direct grant of $600,000 and an additional $3.5 million of NIH funds through EcoHealth. Can you confirm how much NIH spending went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, whether directly or through other companies?
Congressman, thank you for the question. And I'll simply repeat what Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins have said repeatedly, and that is that the NIH never approved funding for gain of function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. We are doing everything we can to make sure that those who receive funding from the NIH are accountable for their funds. As I mentioned previously, the president has asked for an investigation about the source of the virus, the COVID-19 virus. As I said as well, I myself called for, way before this became a controversy recently, for the World Health Organization to do a second stage of investigations into this. And so I think, well, by the way, I should also mention that over the last several years, some 100 scientists have been stopped from doing research with the NIH over the course of time. And in some cases, we've actually prosecuted and convicted some of these individuals.
But thank you, Secretary. I wish we had more time. I would put an echo in for some of the telehealth and making that permanent, but I am out of time, so I will yield back, Mr. Chairman.